Hey guys, I'm Simon and welcome back to an architecture tour of Half-Life 2. And you are probably thinking, what's going on? I thought we finished the game. Well, we have. We have. We finished the game, but I would like to, just go back and look at some of the places we've been and look at maybe some real world equivalents. Well, not quite equivalents, I guess. Maybe in architecture in the real world that may have informed the level design, or maybe it's related to the level design. I mean, there's this stuff, it's not really related to what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the monastery, but anyway, we'll keep that in mind, the industrial stuff. So if you remember, so this is Lost Coast, of course. It's not part of the main game, but it's a technology demo. And also, I guess, in a way, it demonstrates the design intention as well, to take inspiration from the real world and then to really rely on good research to inform good architecture. I mean, that's evident in this. So, anyway, we first have this cliffside path, and obviously a lot of enemies. Let's skip forward a bit. So, narrow staircase coming up. And this part is, well, we're still here. Okay, and then we get to the entrance. Let's see if we can find the entrance. I mean, I can play this and it'll record, but it'll be really skippy for you. Like, I'm sure it's not very smooth, but... So we can stop there. So there's that entrance. And then we keep going upwards into the... Well, the courtyard area is in there. This is the outside entrance, which has been blown apart. And, actually, that's not important yet. So you see these balconies, windows, these things, these support things. These things to keep in mind. Yep, that's not important. And then in the next video, we look at that. That's something to keep in mind as well. The domes on top of the church. And then we go inside. I don't think I'll talk too much about the interior. Or maybe I should. So it's a church. I said it's Eastern Orthodox. So it's not Catholic. It's Eastern Christianity. Oh, that's an interesting shot. Oops. If I can find it again. So again, these supports and these arches, and note the different types of windows. And well, that's pretty much it for the monastery. So what should we do now? Now we go to Google Images, and because I know exactly what I'm looking for, I'll say Greek not monsters, monastery, and we get images. So let's see, we get that one is good, that one's interesting, although wow, that's not quite what we're looking for though. That one's interesting. Let's see, what else do we have? Can scroll down a bit. Recognize that? Yeah. What else? I think that's probably enough for now. I mean, what do we see in these? Well, first of all, it seems like a lot of Greek monasteries are on top of cliffs. I mean, look at this. Cliffs come straight up and there's that. And here, well, it's not really on a cliff, but it's you know, they kind of build themselves up on these huge walls and things. Well, we'll come back to that. Do we? Oh, I guess the image is not. Can we click on that? Yeah, there we go. So actually, there's one other one that I want to look at. Ah, that one. So let's start from the beginning. So we walked up the cliffside along a winding path, and here we see something similar, although it's not quite the same, of course. But I think I said in the video when I first played through Lost Coast, I talked about how monasteries, like they want to remove themselves from the mundane world. They want to, you know, put themselves on top of the cliff to make themselves difficult to access and to, you know, to live in seclusion from the rest of the world. I mean, that's part of what a monastery is, right? Kind of a retreat away from things, and I don't know, to be closer to God, or to be closer to whatever it is you want to be close to, but not the physical world, you know. So, and this, the difficult journey upwards, that's all part of that metaphor, right? To be, you know, the difficult path of finding God. And so, and yeah, and that's why a lot of these Greek monasteries, they're put on cliffs, because it's, you know, it's I don't know how else to say it. It's just to make the path, or to make the journey to them difficult. And then so that if you don't want to put in the effort, then you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get there. And then at the top, I mean, this is obviously a fairly large monastery, and I guess in the style of it is the most similar to the one we have. Although this is interesting too. I mean, if you remember the balconies and the support things, so you know the balconies here are fairly similar to the ones in game, and you know these things, they're built on these supports, the struts that are holding the buildings up. So I think this one is the most similar. Can we look at it? Yeah, okay. This one is the most similar to. Okay, that's as big as it gets. In the sense that there's all these different bits, and it appears that they were built at different times. So you can see that one, the style of it is slightly different from that one. The windows are different, and then that one, the material is different again. In fact, like this bit seems to be tacked onto this bit, and the roofs are different materials, different colors, and different designs. So basically, what's happening here is that as more and more people move into the monastery, I guess, or maybe as they find more money, then they're building more parts to their monastery, and they're expanding it. And I guess that indicates that the monastery has not only been around for a long time, but it's developed over a long time. So it's been fairly active over that period of time. And you know, here we can see similar things going on. If I can find a good view of it. No, it's too far back. So yeah, you know, the windows are different. The balcony here is different from the balcony here, and then that's like that, and that's like that, and so, you know, it's bits and pieces kind of tacked together, and then I guess you gradually add more and more to it. Although the fact that they're all the same height, and so that is maybe not as well thought out. You see, like the heights are all different. Maybe that's more convincing. I mean, obviously that's real, so obviously it's convincing. And here I think you see a bit of that, although the materials are very similar. And this one, you know, you don't seem to get that at all. It seems to be all the same materials, the same colors, the same designs. And that one, so it seems like that one's only had one construction cycle. Although to be honest, there's not much space for any more buildings, so maybe it's just like that out of necessity. What else do we have to say? Well, not much really, except, you know, this. It's a different texture. I mean, they use these irregular stones here. If we can, you know, whereas that one, it's the white. Is there a better shot of it? Maybe in the other video. Anyway, I remember when I played through the Lost Coast, I was saying how that seems to be more detailed than everything else around here, and obviously the guy who made it had a lot of fun doing it. Because, you know, look at these walls, they're just blank and flat, right? Whereas that, you see the window, and then you see that line there, and you see that line there, and there's all these little details and the column details and all that, and so there's much more detail here than in most other parts of this level. And so obviously whoever made it has looked at real churches with these structures on it and then copied it into the game. Now, when I started off, I typed Greek monastery into Google Images, and Half-Life 2 is nowhere near Greece. It's supposed to take place around the Baltic. No, and this is Russian as well in game. Like a lot of the words are in Russian. If you look up Russian monastery, I mean, if you don't know that what a Greek monastery looks like or what a Russian monastery looks like, if you look up a Russian monastery, you have things like this and things like this. And it's obvious that these are very different. Right, these are nothing like the one in Half-Life 2. I mean, if nothing else gives it away. Look at these, especially the domes. I mean, that one's not too different, but this one, that's nothing like it, right? And then there's a lot of blues, and they're usually not on cliffs. Russian monasteries, that one's got a lot of money. One of the greatest Russian monasteries not far from Moscow. Well, obviously there's a lot of money here. Is that gold? It might be actual gold. But, you know, the onion domes are a completely different shape. And so if you've studied a bit of architecture like I have, then you might see that straight away and see that this is not Russian. And that's definitely Greek, or much closer to Greece. So, yeah. So, but I mean, if you just look at monastery by itself, then you'll see obviously monasteries from all around the world. And some of these look more like the ones we're looking for, so not that obviously. This image we saw earlier, this is in Bhutan, which is on a cliff, but actually that one, it's on a cliff, but it's, you know, in Asia. So, you know, you can find a lot of different things. But if you know what you're looking for, then obviously you'll find what you want a lot easier. What else do I have to say about this? Well, I wonder if we should have a look at the interior. Hold on. We might want to do that while we're fighting here. The interiors, I don't know if I pointed this out when I played through the interior, but you'll notice that all these paintings, although only you would think it's pretty obvious that that's supposed to be Jesus, but you notice that all the faces are gone. I mean, it's an old church, right? So you think, well, maybe the paintings are just damaged, but they're damaged in a very specific way. Like all the faces are erased. I'm not 100% sure why, but maybe, you know, maybe Valve didn't want to get too religious, or they didn't want to suggest that you're kind of shooting people inside the church. So they just kind of removed all the faces from it and try to reduce the religious significance of it. I mean, especially don't have people shooting at Jesus or anything like that, or shooting at the apostles. So I don't know, maybe that's why. Well, let's look up some of this stuff. Let's look up Byzantine art. Well, there you go. I mean, you can see like the art style is kind of similar, although, well, the Byzantine Empire was around for quite a long time, so the art obviously developed over time as well. Let's see if we can. That's not a very big image. Let's close those. That's not really like these, is it? Let's see if we can find some other images. Alright, I'm going to play this. It's not going to record very well, but so that one, I mean, the light doesn't help. So it's not quite like that. That's a mosaic too. It's kind of like that, but oh, it's kind of like that. I don't know, I'm sure. No, obviously whoever designed those textures in the game would have done the research and then looked up paintings like these. Maybe they didn't search Byzantine, maybe they... I mean, let's go... medieval art. See, this is slightly different. I mean, you have stories, right? You know, you have someone being baptized. You know, it's not just him standing there with his hands up. It's not just a portrait. And that's not... Is that even medieval? That looks like early Renaissance. Maybe it's not... Oh, here we go. That's kind of similar. That's not medieval. Google Images doesn't know. It doesn't always give you what you're looking for. Ah, interestingly, the ones later on are more to the point. Anyway, so this is fairly early, and as you can see, the faces are quite stylized. It's not very naturalistic at all. Here, that's probably a better example of, you know, paintings in a church. You have Jesus looking down from the dome, which is supposed to represent the heavens. Kinda like that. I mean, I guess there's a lot more gold here. Look at all. Is that actual gold leaf? It might be. Anyway, yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. Actually, over here. If I do this, I'll get the Hagia Sophia a lot. Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. Well, I do, but Saint Sophia. Oh, here we go. That's... Whoa, glitching out. Okay, that's not gonna... Hope that's okay. Yeah, so like I said, the Byzantine Empire has been around for a long time, and not only that, it's quite big, and so there's a lot of different architectural styles in it. There you go, a painting. So that's the interior. You see the domes. The Byzantine style domes are like that, and you have the church at the entryway, and then that 4 columns brickworks, Central asp. Huh, this one is different. Or is it? Yeah, well, there's 4 columns supporting the central dome, but it's not quite as square as this one, so it's longer. Anyway, okay, I've rambled on long enough about this. So yeah, this is a medieval, well, not a medieval, a Greek monasteries in real life comparison. A comparison between St. Olga in Half-Life 2 and Greek monasteries in real life and other things. I hope that's interesting. It might be, and I do intend to do other parts of the game as well. Just talk about the architecture in general, like outside of the context of the game, and more in the real world, like what it means and all that. Yeah, hopefully you'll find it interesting. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next bit.